Ken Workington, thanks so very much. Live from the Sam McKee Memorial Broadcast set. It's time to climb in the Sulky, and my very special guest tonight is the one and only Dave Miller. Dave, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to spend with us tonight.
Yeah, my pleasure, Dave.
It's obviously you've been, one of the great drivers in harness racing now for about the last 25 years. You were born in Columbus, Ohio. And the first thing I want to get to was, all right, in 1997 and 1998, you won over 1,400 races. You know, you were feeling it. You were winning a lot of races. You weren't here just yet and at that point of your career. And then ever since then, you haven't won 1,000 over a 2-year span since. Was it a conscious decision on your part to not be like so many of the other guys who do what you do for a living and drive at more than one track a day to get as many drives as possible?
Yeah, when I got here, basically never left the racetrack here. I stayed here, maybe went to freehold some, but basically just raced here.
Now, that leads me to my next question. This is the third time I've tried to get you in the Sulky. What happened the first two times if you're always here?
Yeah, I was coming from Harris, Philadelphia, and the traffic would get me, or something would always come up.
Now, the thing of it is, you guys, obviously, you make a great living, and, and it's deservedly so. There's an awful lot of risk involved, and there's an awful lot of skill involved, no question about it. But, is that the biggest challenge that you face when you're driving in multiple tracks and you have to battle the traffic to get to where you got to be?
Yeah, you got to plan it out, I did notice that a lot of tracks will say post time for the 10th race is 4 o'clock, and it'll always be 4:30. The drag, and there's always, you got to allow for delays, and so it can be pretty tricky at times.
All right, now let's talk about some graphics here, and let's bring in one with a little homage to the Doobie Brothers. Purple Jesus is just all right. Of course, one of your two well-known nicknames. You were inducted into the Hall of Fame class of 2014. That must have been quite a thrill.
Yeah, that was probably biggest thrill I've had.
Now, driver of the year 3 times, 2003, 15, and 16. But the thing you were telling me off camera is that for you, the highlight of your career, being a kid from Columbus, Ohio, winning 5 Little Brown Jugs.
Yeah, I started going to Delaware, Ohio when I was about 12 years old, and dreamt of winning that race numerous times, and I finally get to win it. It was a high that I'd never felt before.
Now let's get some questions from Twitter in here. Pleasant Journey asks, do drivers still talk about having good hands?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure, 100%. Definitely Dexter Dunn, Andy McCarthy, Todd McCarthy, Tim Tetrick, those guys, they've got really, really light hands.
Now, what does that mean? When I say to you, all right, Dave, Dex has good hands, what does that mean?
He gets along with any horse. He can get a lot out of a horse. He just seems to, if a horse is known for bad acting, he seems to have him settled down. And I mean, it's not something you work at. It's something you just have.
Now, Eric Abbey asks, Purple Jesus, who gave you that nickname?
I got that nickname in Lebanon, Ohio, years and years ago, like in the late 80s, early 90s. And a guy started calling me David Jesus Miller, and then it just kind of went to Purple Jesus. And, it just always makes me smile when somebody thinks of me like that.
All right. Now, Purple Jesus or the Buckeye, which nickname do you prefer?
I like the Buckeye, too. That's pretty fitting. I'm from Ohio, and I'm a big Ohio State fan, and I'm happy with that.
All right, Jake Winstead, he asks, what was your favorite memory from Lebanon Raceway?
Oh, geez. That was so long ago. I got to win a couple Sire Stake finals there, and that's where I grew up at. And I mean, it was a little C track, with the worst horses around, but they were great people, and I appreciated that they gave me the opportunity to drive them.
Yeah, great start, no question about it, right? You got to start at a little too bit towards the bottom before you can work your way to the top.
Oh, yeah.
All right, now let's talk a little bit more about Miller's Magnificent, or Magnificence, we should say, with another graphic, and it has some real great highlights for you. The thing that impresses me most about you, Dave, obviously you're a win compiler. You have 271 million in purses. Only John Campbell's 299 is more than you. But the thing that impressed me most when I was putting this together, along with the help from my friend Ken Weingartner, thanks very much to Ken, you've been in the top 5 in purses 23 of the past 24 years. That's just remarkably consistent.
Yeah, well, thank you. I just owe it to a lot of people that have helped me and still believe in me and let me drive their good horses.
Now, we have another Twitter question for you. Max Nuckerson asking a very serious question. Why does a driver sitting 4th down the backside ever allow himself to not get into the outer flow before being pinned? He thinks it has bad optics for the better.
Yeah, it all depends on the horse, really. I mean, this track here at the Meadowlands is such a speed favoring track. If you got a horse, if he's a big favorite, you got to pretty much move him. But if you're just like traveling along up with your average horse there, your best shot is just to set as long as you can, and hopefully get lucky or try to move him in the home stretch. The rail does open up here quite a bit, and it works for some guys. Just sit in as long as you can.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Dave Miller's honor roll, and let's talk first about a super filly from the Brett Pelling barn, Test of Faith, seen here winning the Breeders' Crown. Walk us through what's going through your mind in the stretch.
Test of Faith, she is just an awesome horse, and she drew outside, and she was out the whole way, and she picked up live cover though, and it took her right into the race, and she's such a phenomenal horse that. She loves to win. She puts her nose in front every time.
Second fastest female pacer of all time with a mark of 147. Let's talk about a horse who went 146. He was at the time the fastest horse of all time. Of course, I speak of Always Be Mickey, seen here at the Meadowlands winning the Breeders' Crown.
Yeah, Mickey, he's probably the toughest horse I've ever got to sit behind and drive. I give him a lot of credit. He battled through a lot of lameness problems, and he was such an amazing horse, and he did stuff that amazed me every week, and I can't give him enough credit.
Now, the last horse we're going to look at is one from about 20 years ago. This must have been a very exciting time for you. No pan intended. One more time, winning a Breeders' Crown at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, no pan intended. He was. I called him my Cinderella horse. He showed up in the non-winners of 2 here in May, and he won the Triple Crown and the Breeders' Crown. And I mean, he gave me my first Little Brown Jug, and he'll always be special to me. And he was a special horse for me.
Can I nail you down? Who's the greatest horse that Dave Miller's ever driven?
It's very tough. I mean, and there are 2 horses I've just driven recently, and Always Be Mickey and Test of Faith. I see a lot of comparison in both of them, and they've been so good to me, and I just really, really look up to them.
Dave, one question before we let you go about tonight's card. In the 5th race, you have a mare from the Jeff Culliver barn called Sweet Charlie. Sweet Charlie raced on the front end last week and missed just a neck in a 51 2 mile. Last weekend, the races and the track, I should say, was very unforgiving to horses racing on the front end. Does that mean that tonight, assuming that the track is obviously more favorable to speed, which we have to assume that it is, that you'll try it on the front end again?
It all depends on how the track is playing, how many horses are leaving inside of her. I do know one thing, she's versatile, and I mean, I was real happy with her both times I've raced her. She got parked the first week, and then last week she put in a really game effort, and I've seen that she's won off the pace, so that gives me a lot of options. So I'll probably try to leave out of there with her some, maybe try to get her somewhat close, and then try to get her into the flow around the last turn and let her do her thing.
Dave Miller, I knew the time would fly by. We're out of time. We got to let you get back to work. Shades is going to jump in that seat and talk about tonight's featured action in about 60 seconds. But for now, Dave Miller, thanks so very much. Good luck tonight and during the rest of 2023.
Yep, thank you, Dave.
All right, we'll be back with Shades in about 60 seconds. We'll be back after this.